Hello, my name is Tom Davenport, and I'm the director of a film series from the Brothers Grimm. I think most of you have heard of Grimm's fairy tales, but many people think that the Brothers Grimm wrote these tales. Actually, they collected them from farm and village folk in Germany over a century ago, during a time when people used tale-telling as a form of entertainment and passed these tales from generation to generation. You know, fairy tales or folk tales remind me a lot of dreams. Frogs talk, animals turn into people, people into animals. A lot of strange things happen. But they're not individual dreams. Because of the way folk tales were created by many, many people over a long period of time, they're more like universal dreams. And it's interesting that the very same story types can pop up in different cultures and countries that are not even related to each other. Our first tale is a very familiar tale called The Frog King. Like many other familiar tales, there are several different variations of this story. Our film adaptation follows the one in the Brothers Grimm, but I think it may surprise some of you. We set it in America, and although we use the word princess and king in our story, our princess is really the daughter of a wealthy American industrialist around the turn of the century. In olden days, when wishing still helped, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful, but the youngest was so beautiful that even the sun, which had seen so much, was astonished every time it shone into her face. Close by the king's palace lay a great forest, and under an old oak tree was a well. On days when it was hot, she would stand above the well, and to pass the time she took a golden ball and threw it up in the air and caught it, and this ball was her favorite plaything.
Why are you crying? What's the matter? You're crying so hard, even a stone would feel sorry for you.
I lost my golden ball in the well.
I can get it for you. But what will you give me if I fetch it up?
What, my dress or my pearls or even my necklace?
Oh, I don't want your dress, your pearls, or your necklace. I want to be your friend. I want to sit at your table, eat from your plate, drink from your cup, and sleep in your bed.
Yes, anything, if you only give me my golden ball.
Wait for me! I can't keep up with you! Wait!
ask him if he made it. Come on, Jerry. He is quite You're doing it. Tell him about the This is Anne's business. I don't need to tell you. Tell him. You stood in the kitchen. Anne. Princess. Anne.
Yes, Father?
Who was at the door? Was it a giant?
No, it wasn't a giant.
Well, then who was it?
It was just an ugly old frog.
A frog? Well, what did the frog want?
Well, yesterday I was down at the well and I lost my golden ball in the well and because I was crying so hard, the frog said he would go down and get it for me. And then he made me promise to be his friend, but I never thought he could get out of the well. And now he's outside and he wants you to come inside.
Well, then open the door.
Princess, open the door for me. Remember your promise at the old well tree. Open the door for me.
Father, he's just a disgusting frog.
If you made a promise, you must keep it. Open the door.
But Father...
Anne, let him in. So our guests can join us at the table. Wait. Tell you about those roses.
Now push your plate closer so we can eat together. Now I'm tired and I want to go to bed. Carry me up to your room.
No, I don't want to.
Huh?
I'm not going to do it.
Carry me up to your room.
Carry him up to your room.
But Father, he ruined our party. He got my dress all dirty and he embarrassed me in front of my friends. How can you expect me to do this?
He helped you when you needed it. Now, you can't go back on your word.
But Father!
And you must keep your promise.
I really have to.
Yes, go!
I want to sleep as comfortably as you. Lift me up in your bed.
No!
Lift me up or I'll tell your father.
When he fell down, he was no longer a frog, but a king's son with kind and beautiful eyes.
Will this help?
Sit down.
What happened?
He told her how a wicked witch had put a spell on him, and how no one had been able to set him free from the well but she
A
alone.
little cut in the back of the head. I'll be all right. Not as much as that witch hurt me. It's a lot better than being a frog. Just a little cut in the back of the head. I'd like to thank you for keeping your...
By her father's own wish, he was now her true friend and husband. The next morning, when the sun arose, a carriage came to take them to his kingdom. In the back stood the young king's servant, faithful Henry, who had been so unhappy when his master had been changed into a frog that he had an iron band laid around his heart to keep it from breaking. When they had gone a little way, the prince heard a cracking behind him and thought that the carriage was breaking apart. But no, it was only the band springing from the heart of faithful Henry, because his master was free and happy. fairy tale films, we discovered that elements of real life were as fantastic as animated figures or puppets. So we decided to use a real frog to play the part of our fairy tale frog. To catch our frogs, I took my 3 boys and a friend out at night to a pond near our house. It's very difficult to catch them during the day, but at night the flashlight blinds them. Bullfrogs vary a lot in size and color, but to most people they look alike. We were able to use 10 different frogs in the film without anyone knowing the difference.
You've got 2 different shapes. You know, one, you've got a frog that has a mouth that goes from ear to ear, and then you have a human being who has this little slit on the front of its face. And what a human being does with this little slit compared to this gigantic mouth that normally does nothing but open and close. You know? So it should be really interesting to see a frog talking.
Tom Cullen works in the exhibits department of the New York State Museum in Albany. He and his wife, Susan, helped us design the talking frog.
I'm basically a city kid. I'd seen toads, but I'd never seen a frog. I didn't even know what the difference was. When David first said, frog prince, I said, yeah, frog, frog. Bumpy, warty things. And he said, no, Tom, frogs are smooth.
I knew we would be working with live frogs, and I thought the puppet would be real small. And when I saw it, I said, there's no way a real frog could be that big. It just didn't look that realistic to me.
Ribbit? Why are you crying? What's the matter? You're crying so hard that even a stone would feel sorry for you.
I lost my golden ball in the well.
Oh, so that's what that thing was. My golly, I thought it was a shot put. That thing come past my head so fast. You should be more careful. How much you think that thing's worth?
My dress, my pearls, or even my necklace.
Oh, no, baby, them things on the open market, you know what a golden ball will fetch? You probably get about 8 dozen necklaces and, maybe 4 or 5 dresses and 2, 3 pearl earrings. Okay, well, let's do this then. How about being my friend? You got to have me over to dinner and introduce me to your dad. Let's see. Well, that ought to... Oh, yeah, I want to sleep in your bed, too.
Well, if only you get me my golden ball.
Well, okay. But I don't bring a sleeping bag.
Funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations, and the Virginia Commission for the Arts.
This animal has a cloven hoof. In ancient Greece, there was a creature half goat and half man called a satyr. Later in Europe, a cloven hoof became a symbol for the devil. Our next film is called Bearskin. There was once a young man who enlisted as a soldier. He fought bravely during the war and was always in the front when the bullets rained. But when peace was made, he was dismissed. Both his parents were dead, and he had no home. So he found himself alone in the world.
I already know what you're in need of. Gold and possessions shall be yours. But first, I must know if you're fearless, so I won't bestow my money in vain.
A soldier and fear? How can those two things go together? Put me to the test.
Very well. Look behind you. I see you don't lack courage. But there is one other condition which you must fulfill.
If it doesn't endanger my salvation. If it does, I'll have nothing to do with it.
That you'll have to look to yourself. But for the next 7 years, you shall neither wash, nor comb your beard, nor cut your hair, nor nails, nor once say the Lord's Prayer. You will give me your coat, and in exchange, I will give you a cape and a cloak which you must wear during this time. If you die in these 7 years, then you are mine. But if you live, then you are free and rich to boot for the rest of your life.
Sir, I have risked death many times. You've got yourself a deal.
When you wear this cape and put your hand in the pocket, there will always be money. And this shall be your cloak. And where you shall sleep, and in no other bed shall you lie. And because of this apparel, you shall be called Bear Skin.
So he went forth into the world and enjoyed himself, refraining from nothing that did himself good and his money harm.
Compliments of bearskin.
During the first year, his appearance was passable, but during the second year, it became worse.
It's very nice. What in the world? You see, suppose they...
And so he wandered for 4 long years.
That's right. I'll buy another one.
What do you want in here?
Sir, I need a place to stay.
You can't stay here. Get out!
I could pay you for a room.
You can't pay me enough money.
Is this enough?
Come on, let's go outside and talk.
There's an old barn over there. You can sleep upstairs.
Thank you.
And Bearskin wished with all his heart that the 7 years were over.
Don't be afraid.
Who the devil are you?
Don't be afraid.
Bearskin spoke kindly and told the man that he was a wanderer without home or friends.
That makes two of us. So why were you crying?
Oh, the war devastated the country. My crops have failed for 3 years in a row, and now the landlord wants to throw me into debtor's prison because I can't pay him the bill I owe him.
If that's your only trouble, I've got plenty of money.
You? No. I can't.
No, please. I've got plenty more.
How can I ever repay you? I know. I have 3 daughters. When they hear how kind you've been to me, I'm sure one of them will offer you her hand in marriage. In truth, you do look strange, but I'm sure she'll be able to put you to rights again.
Oh, it's just Papa.
Maybe he brought us some presents.
Maybe he bought me my jewelry.
What's that thing he has next to him?
I don't know. Looks like some furs. I thought he bought me a fur coat.
You a fur coat? He could buy me a fur coat just as
I am
easy
the
as you.
oldest daughter.
Well, my beautiful young lady.
Oh, Papa.
Hello, girls.
What's in the box, Papa?
That's for you, my
Oh,
sweetheart.
you bring me a fur coat.
Well, I didn't bring you a fur coat, but I brought you something mighty pretty.
Oh.
Where's my little baby girl?
Oh, she's on the barn.
Feeding the chickens. Papa!
I brought you something you wanted, too. Although it's mighty tiny. I don't know whether you'll like it or not.
Beautiful.
Papa, where'd you get the money for this pen?
Girls, I have something I want to tell you. I met a man who gave me all the money we need.
Papa, is he a young man?
Oh, yes, he's a young man.
Tall?
Oh, very tall, very tall.
Does he have dark hair?
Dark hair and lots of it.
What are the color of his eyes?
Well, I'm not quite so
Oh,
sure.
is he handsome, Papa?
Well, he's very kind and generous.
Oh, where is he, Papa?
Well, there's something I must tell you first. I told him when he gave me this money that I thought one of my girls would give him her hand in marriage.
Oh, Papa, where is he?
He's waiting out in the hall.
Oh! Marry the devil than marry him.
He isn't even human. I'd rather burn in hell than marry anything as ugly as that.
But he is human, honey. He told me so himself. But I promised him.
Father, I'd like to meet this man.
Let's go out and meet him, honey. This is Bearskin. He's a very kind man.
Thank you for helping my family.
This is for you. Take good care of it. I shall have to wander as Bearskin for another 3 years. If I don't come back by then, you are free, for I will be dead. But pray to God to keep me alive.
Things. If he takes a fancy to you, he'll eat you up.
You better do what he says or else you'll growl.
But sister, the wedding will be wonderful because bears dance well.
Oh, big sleigh bears, my
Bearskin traveled alone about the world. He helped the poor and asked them to pray that he might live. At last, 7 years were over.
Here's your old coat back. Give me my green one, and we have a deal.
Not so fast. First, you've got to make me clean. Now, say the Lord's Prayer.
Soldier, you've won our little bargain. Don't push me any further.
Hired a carriage and returned to the home of his love. The father did not recognize him and placed him between his two eldest daughters.
I hope you do enjoy it. To your health.
A votre santé. Oh.
Oh,
Perhaps you'd like a drink?
I made it myself.
Sister, why don't you stay here? I think I'd like to change into something more suitable for company. I'll be right back.
I think I should have changed too.
I was bearskin when you saw me last, but by the grace of God, I've been made clean again.
It's Bearskin come home.
Oh, Bear.
Not Bear. Look.
The soldier and his bride lived a long and happy life together. As for the other two sisters, it is said that they were so filled with envy and jealousy that one hanged herself from a tree and the other threw herself into a lake and drowned.
So you see, I won. I got 2 souls for the price of 1.
One of my earliest memories is being left at a playground by my mother and crying because I thought that she'd never come back and get me. Then when my own children were small, I noticed that they had the same fears. I think having these feelings is just part of growing up. Everybody has these feelings. And it's interesting that some folk tales deal very directly with these feelings that everyone has. Hansel and Gretel is a very good example of this kind of folk tale. Our version of Hansel and Gretel is set in the southern Appalachian Mountains around the 1930s in the Great Depression, when everyone was quite poor and that area was especially backward. After the film's over, I'll show you a little bit of how we change character by changing voice. Once upon a time, on the edge of a great forest, lived a woodcutter and his family. Times were hard, and for days the poor man had not been able to find work or sell what little he gathered from the forest. Food had always been scarce in their house, and as the days passed, what little they had was eaten, and only enough flour for a few loaves of bread remained. He had 2 children. The girl was called Gretel, the boy Hansel.
Who does any work around here. You know, we ain't got nothing in there to eat, nothing. And here you are, out here fooling around with a bunch of cats. Now, you kids, get back to work. And husband, we got something to talk about tonight. Things ain't gonna go on like this much more. You hear? Now get!
The wife was not the children's real mother, and she resented having to share everything with Hansel and Gretel.
Tomorrow we'll take the kids into the woods and we'll leave them there. And we'll take them so far out that they won't be able to find their way back. We have to do it. It's them or us. Now tomorrow we're going to take them out there and we're going to leave them. You understand? We're going to do it. What are you waiting for?
Just waiting for my white kitten. He's waving
You
by.
stupid fool. That's no cat. It's just the sun shining on the porch. Come on. Hurry up. Now, you kids sit down right here. Sit down. You stay right there. Come on, Harper. Up a long time. We didn't think you was ever coming back, maybe, right, Pa? Now, tomorrow, we're going out again. So you go on and get up to bed. Get away from your father. Go on up to bed. Go on. Go on.
This time the stepmother had locked the door, and Hansel could not get out to pick up pebbles again. He would have to think of another plan. And so, as they entered the forest, he dropped white breadcrumbs along the way instead of pebbles. This time, the stepmother led them farther into the forest than ever before. The day passed, and the sun set, but no one came to lead the children home again.
In the moonlight, they begin to search for the bits of bread, but found none. The thousands of birds that live in the forest had eaten the crumbs as fast as they had been dropped. They were lost at last.
Nibble, nibble, little mouse. Who's that nibbling near my house? Why, it's two beautiful little children. Come inside. I have food and lots of it. Just this way. Don't be afraid. Now follow me. We'll start with an apple, and here's some bread and cheese, and you can have all you want. Well, go ahead. Aren't you hungry? Wake up, you lazy girl! Come on! See there? See your brother? I put him in there because we're going to fatten him up, and I'm going to eat him. Oh, stop that crying. We have work to do. We have to find food and fatten him up. Go on, hurry up.
And so Gretel worked for the witch day after day. The best food was cooked for poor Hansel, but Gretel got nothing but scraps.
Here are some more. Come on, hurry up now. You're so slow.
Now, witches have weak eyes and cannot see very well. But like beasts, they have a keen sense of smell, especially for human flesh.
Give
me a finger.
But Hansel, who knew that she could not see very well, always stuck out a chicken bone instead. And the witch wondered why he remained so thin.
I'm tired of this. Your brother is as skinny as the day you got here. And fatter or thinner, tonight I'm going to have him for dinner. Now get in there and get the water boiling. Go on, you lazy girl. Oh, he's going to taste so good. I'm going to bake some bread. I've already heated the oven, and I've kneaded the dough. Now, you get over here and put these sticks on the fire. Gretel, dear, would you do something for me? Would you stick your head in the oven and see if the fire's ready? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is stick your head in, and then you can tell if it's hot enough to shove the bread in. Come on now. It's very easy. What? Oh, you stupid girl. You don't know anything. Now watch me. I'll show you how to do it, and then you can do it after me. Now you just open it up, and what you do is look at the coals to see if they're red enough. To see if they're...
Gretel had seen where the witch had kept her treasure, and there in the box was more than they had ever imagined. For some hours until they came to a river. When they reached the other shore, they found that they had returned to familiar ground. Now the way home was clear. Not passed a happy hour since he had left them in the wood, but the stepmother had left. And so Hansel and Gretel returned home, and now that they were rich with the witch's treasure, their troubles seemed to end, and they all lived happily ever after in that little house near the forest. My story's told, there is no more, but there's a mouse behind the door. The first of you that catches her can make a great big cap from her fur.
Some of you might have noticed from the credits in the film that the same actress who plays the stepmother also plays the witch. Well, she has a lot of makeup on in the witch's part, but I think that the real reason that you don't recognize the same actress is that we changed her voice in the witch's part. Now, I'm going to show you a sequence from the film with the original voice of the actress. This is a scene where the witch is trying to lure Gretel into the oven.
Gretel, dear, would you do something for me? Would you stick your head in the oven and see if the fire's ready?
I don't know how.
What? Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is stick your head in, and then you can tell if it's hot enough to shove the bread in.
Now, what we did is we took the original voice out, and we dubbed in another voice, a male voice, a voice of a man. In fact, we used the same actor who plays the frog in The Frog King. Now, let me show you the sequence as it appeared in the final film.
Gretel, dear, would you do something for me? Would you stick your head in the oven and see if the fire's ready?
I don't know how.
Well, it's very simple. All you have to do is stick your head in, and then you can tell if it's hot enough to shove the bread in.
This is one of the things that really makes making films fascinating. The ability to take the looks of one character and combine them with the voice of another and create an entirely new character.
Funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations.
The preceding program was made possible by a grant from the Ohio Department of Education.
Rapunzel, like Hansel and Gretel, is a very familiar tale. All the stories from Grimm come from a Germanic tradition, and in that tradition, blonde hair is a symbol of great beauty, of somehow being very, very special. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't have blonde hair, so we decided we'd make our American version with a brunette. Now, after the film's over, I'll show you some of the techniques we used to film Rapunzel's hair.
Once upon a time there was a garden, and in it grew a plant called Rapunzel. This garden belonged to a witch of great power, and no one dared enter it for fear of his life. The woman was soon to have a baby. As the time for the child drew near, she had begun to crave the forbidden plant. She begged her husband to get her more. She said that she would have the plant or die for want of it.
How dare you come into my garden and steal my Rapunzel like a thief? You will suffer for this. Take it. Take it. Take all you want. Under one condition. You will give me the child your wife shall bear. It will be well treated. I will care for it like a mother.
In his terror, the man consented to everything, and when the child was born, the witch took her. For 12 years, she kept the little girl with her. But when the girl turned 12, the witch locked her up in a tower deep in the forest and kept her there for nearly 2 years. She called the child Rapunzel after the plant in the garden.
Little eye is free, little eye is pretty, eye so little I will be. Great eye, great I can see. Little eye is pretty, eye so little I will be. Little eye is pretty, and little eye is free. Little eye is pretty, eye so little I will be. Great eye, great I can see. Little eye is pretty, eye so little I will be. Little eye is pretty, and little eye is free. Little eye is pretty, eye so little I will be.
Rapunzel.
Every day, Rapunzel would let down her hair, and the witch would climb up to her.
We share everything. Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Rapunzel! Let down your hair! Let down your hair!
thought to herself, he's so young and handsome. He will surely love me more than old mother does. But she did not know how to climb down, and asked him to bring silk each time he came to her, and with it she would weave a ladder for her escape. Come only at night, for the old woman came by day.
Oh, you're so lovely. So lovely.
Why is it, Mother, that it takes you so long to get up here when my young man is here in a moment?
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything at all, Mother.
Oh, yes, you did. You said something about a young man.
No one's been coming up here.
A man has been coming up here?
We didn't mean any harm.
We didn't mean any harm. So you deceived me. You wicked, wicked child.
Mother, you're hurting me.
I meant to keep you hidden from the whole world, and you deceived me.
Mother, no.
You wicked, wicked
no,
child.
No, Mother, no.
Rapunzel! Let down your hair! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!
Thought to find your lady love. But the pretty bird is flown and will sing no more. The cat has caught it and will scratch out your eyes too. Rapunzel is lost to you forever, and you will never see her again.
Rapunzel had been banished. The prince had escaped with his life, but the thorns into which he had fallen had pierced his eyes. For several years, blind and miserable, he searched for his love, until finally he came to the place where Rapunzel was living. Tears had touched his eyes, and they had become clear again. He led her back to his kingdom, where they were joyfully received. They lived for a long time afterward, happy and contented.
One of the most magical shots in the film Rapunzel is the one where the hair falls from the tower. I think you'd be surprised to know where we threw the hair from. We threw the hair from this deck right on the back of my house. Now, the reason we threw the hair from there was that the tower itself was an old water tower, and it was too old and rickety, too dangerous to go up and throw the hair down from. Rapunzel's room was actually in a house nearby. You just assumed that her room was in that tower. Now, our problem was, now, to make the hair seem like it was falling from a great distance. This deck here is only about 20 feet high. Now, to do that, we used two tools of the filmmaker. One is camera lens, and the other is camera speed. Now, there are wide-angle lenses and there are telephoto lenses, and each has its own special quality. What I'd like to do now is to change the lens on this camera and give you a telephoto lens to show you the special characteristics of that lens. Now we have a telephoto lens on the camera, and if you'll notice the person behind me, she seems much closer than she actually is. Now, the characteristic of a telephoto lens is to compress distance. Now I'll change the lens to a wide-angle lens. Now we have a wide-angle lens on the camera. Notice the person behind me seems much farther away than the telephoto shot. The second thing we did was we changed the camera speed. We shot the film at a lot faster speed than normal, so that when the film is projected, it slowed the action down. So then we used wide angle and slow motion, and we shot the film on a day with a bright blue sky and underexposed the sky so it looked like night. I got down here on my back and Mamie up there, and when I was ready, she threw the hair.
Funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations.